What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another BMW E30 build video. So we are currently waiting on the LS engine, but if you guys seen the previous episode, we did get the entire interior bed line and it looks absolutely awesome. I think the color is gonna just stand out really good. Now in today's video, we are gonna be building a roll cage, but I wanna do that a little bit later. We have a little bit more stuff we wanna undercoat under here. I wanna go ahead and get all this painted in really nice because it is kind of ugly under here. So what we need to do first is go ahead and start taking off both suspensions, get the car in the air, and start cleaning all that area up. So we got both suspensions off both sides, and now I want to show you guys the new suspension we are going to be putting on it later. This is actually from an E36 M3, and what that's going to do is actually convert it from a 4-lug to a 5-lug, and we're going to be able to run some bigger brakes, and we're going to need it with all the power from the LS engine. And this is actually going on Motorhead's car, but for now we're going to go ahead and start wire wheeling all this up, clean it all up, and get it sprayed in. So we have the wire wheel on the grinder, and what I'm going to do is kind of just go over some of this stuff, because like you can see right here, some of the undercoating is coming off, but in some other areas it's in really good condition. So what we're going to do is basically just wire wheel all the stuff that's falling off, and maybe just go over the other stuff like some sandpaper, rough it up, and then we can spray it in with it. everything nice and cleaned up and sanded inside here, now all we're gonna do is grab some tape and some paper and line it off just like that right there. And then we can go ahead and spray everything in there and give it a nice new coat. So we got everything nice and taped up on the front of this car. We also have to go ahead and throw some seam sealer in some of the areas over here, but we got everything seamed up, it's nice and dry. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is start wiping everything down with some wax and grease remover, get all the dirt and grime off of it, and then we'll start undercoating it. So we got everything nice and sprayed in, and man, it just looks beautiful under here. And we actually use two types of coatings. For up here, we actually used our bed liner. This stuff is pretty strong, and we just did it up here just to give it a really nice clean look. And then down there, we use this rubberized undercoating, basically what factory recommends down there. But as soon as we got done painting all this, we did get some new shirts in. Man, these things are super soft. So if you want to copy one, there's a turbo on the back. It just looks awesome. So if you want to copy one, go to Vtuned.com, support the channel. Now let's get back to work on the BMW. So basically everything on this car is new. We got everything undercoated under here. We got the engine bay primed up, and we did actually lift the car up on some jacks, and we pressure washed the entire bottom of the car, and all the undercoating under there looks pretty good. But we will probably undercoat everything later. Because as you can see, Motorhead is actually working on their car. They're building custom brake lines for their car, so make sure you check Motorhead out. And now that we have basically everything done on the car, we're gonna go ahead and put the suspension back up front and roll it up and start working on the roll cage. We're not gonna do too complex of a roll cage. I'm just gonna basically go from here, just do a nice little hoop and maybe some bars coming back, and it's all gonna be bolted in so we can remove it when we need to. So let's go ahead and get this suspension back on. We'll move the car forward and start working on a roll cage. So now that we have all that done, we went ahead and put the suspension and everything back on. Let's go ahead and come inside and see how we're gonna do this roll cage. So the way we're gonna start building this roll cage is I wanna do basically one main hoop that's gonna come up, get bent right here, another bend, and basically one main hoop that comes all the way down. And then we have this nice structural part right here. Probably make a nice plate right there and bolt it to the car because I don't really want to weld it. I want to make it removable so that we can paint it and everything later. And then what we're going to do is also go back and probably throw another 2 hoops down that way, and then maybe one in the center like this and coming along, because we're going to do some harnesses in here because we did kind of delete the seat belts, and I think a harness is just going to be much safer. So let's go ahead and grab some tube and start bending. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab a measuring tape and measure out exactly how big we need this hoop to be. So we went ahead and actually bent a test tube right here just to see what kind of angle we would need. And it turns out we're gonna need a 15-degree angle right here. Now all we need to do is calculate exactly how much we're gonna need up here, and then we can start bending the entire tube. So we got everything measured up and we've got all the calculations done. Now we're gonna go ahead and start bending our main hoop. So we got the entire roll cage nice and bent out, and man, that Rogue Fab bender works awesome. Now we're gonna go ahead and try to test fit this into the car. This is my first time building a cage, so let's go ahead and see if it fits. So now we're gonna go ahead and try to fit the cage inside, and I think we do have a little bit of an issue. Our cage is a little bit too wide, so what we're gonna have to do is go ahead and do a little bit more bending right here. We only did 15 degrees, so I think 25 or 20 will make it fit perfectly. So we went ahead and bent the roll cage like 10 more degrees, and now it fits up pretty good. And check this out. It's a little bit too tall, so we're gonna have to actually cut it down. So let's go ahead and get the saw and cut it down a little bit, and I think it's gonna fit perfectly. So we got the roll cage fitting up here perfectly. It kind of went together pretty good. I was having some trouble bending some tubes on the Mustang, but I did some more researching and I figured out exactly how to bend tubing. And check this out, it's gonna line up pretty good in here. And now what we need to do is actually, we're gonna throw a bar going across here, and that's what the seat belt is, or the harness is gonna hook up to. So we need to cut one bar for here, and then we're also gonna do one diagonal going down like that. And I'm still not sure how we're gonna do the back ones, so we're gonna go ahead and do the front ones, and then we'll figure the back ones out in a minute. So we got this tube notched out and it fits in here beautifully. And now what we're gonna do is actually add another bar that's gonna come up just like that, just straight down the center. And what that's gonna do is give us some more strength and stability, just to give this bar really nice, strong, because we are gonna be using the harnesses and they're gonna clip on right here. So we want this bar to be nice and strong. So let's go ahead and do some more measuring and get 2 more tubes cut. So we got the cage roughly together. Now all we need to do is get the grinder and clean some of this up and make it fit a little bit better. But I think it's looking pretty good. So let's grab the grinder with the flap disc, clean everything up, and maybe we can weld it together. So we have everything fitting up beautifully. We did a little bit more trimming right there. Everything lines up. Now what we're gonna do is go ahead and weld it up. So we got the roll cage all wire wheeled. Everything turned out pretty good. The welds look decent. Not the best, but I'm still learning how to weld tubes pretty good. And now what we're gonna do is go ahead and grab this roll cage and set it inside the car, because we gotta start making the perches that are actually gonna bolt up to the car. So let's go ahead and get it inside. What? So we got the roll cage just set inside, and man, does it look good. And now what we're going to have to do is work on the little perches that we're going to be putting right here. We are going to just make it bolt in so we can take it out and in, because we are going to be building the interior. There's obviously going to be no back seats, so we're kind of just going to do everything flat and just carpet it, make it look pretty good in here. So let's go ahead, and I do have some metal. I had some metal left over from the Mustang. We're gonna go ahead and cut 2 little brackets for both sides. So what I'm gonna do is what I always do, grab a piece of cardboard and basically just make a nice template. So this is pretty much exactly the size we need. Now let's go over there and cut it out of the metal with our plasma cutter. So we got both plates made, and I went ahead and welded them together, and what we're gonna do is just drill through both plates so we get identical holes on each plate. And now what we need to do is basically just slide this under here and see exactly where we need to make our bolt holes and our center hole. So I think that's perfect, exactly how we need it, and we're basically just gonna make our markings right here. So we have the brackets made, and we went ahead and cleaned them all up. Now what we're gonna do is go ahead and set them in the car, and then go ahead and drill the holes and bolt it to the car, and then we'll weld the roll cage to the bracket. So we got the first plate mounted inside, and don't worry guys, we are going to be putting something underneath, probably another plate, and maybe do some more reinforcing underneath the car once we get the motor in and we start doing all that, so don't worry about that. Now let's go ahead and do the other side. So we got both brackets bolted to the car. Now what we need to do is go ahead and clean up this bottom surface on both sides, and then we can go ahead and weld this roll cage in the car. check this out, guys. We went ahead and threw in our Recaro seat just to see how it's gonna fit up, and check that out. The roll cage is gonna be perfect, and we have good visibility through the back because the way we made the cage with the V down there. Now what we need to do is position the, I think it's almost in the perfect position. Now we just need to get it perfectly centered in the car, and it's just gonna be perfect. And I think we will need to raise the seat up a little bit, but the cool thing is this bar we made, this is gonna be perfect for the harnesses. They're gonna slide right through there, get bolted onto that, and we're not gonna have no seat belts. Harness is gonna be way safer. So let's go ahead and weld this roll cage in. So I got most of the stuff I could weld. We're gonna have to take the actual roll cage out before I can weld all that up. But before I take it out, I actually want to add another reinforcement. Probably gonna come off this wheel well right here and bolt onto here, so it gives the entire rear some good stability. So let's go ahead and grab another tube and do some tube notching and some measuring. So we got both of these bars installed, and check that out, it just fits beautifully in there. And what we're gonna have to do tomorrow, we actually ran out of metal. We're gonna have to get another plate. We're gonna put another plate right here, and we're gonna extend it out basically like to here. And what we're gonna do is actually bolt it to the actual shock towers in the back. And what that's gonna do is give us nice structural stability. And we also have to X-brace this rear. Right here, we're gonna X-brace this shock towers on both sides just to give it that strength, so whenever we're going around corners and stuff, the body doesn't really flex. But that's gonna be it for today. Catch you back tomorrow. So it's the next day here at the garage. We went ahead and got a new piece of metal right here, nice thick plate. And now what we need to do is grab some cardboard, make a template for the back. We're probably gonna make it come out like here, and then it's gonna actually bolt onto the shock tower in the rear. We're gonna do that later. So let's go ahead and grab some cardboard and start measuring some stuff up. So we got the rear bars on the roll cage tacked together. I didn't fully weld them yet because I want to make sure I can take the cage out before we weld it all up, because I don't want to be screwed like that. But as you guys know, this is just a roll cage for the harness bar, and it's going to add some structural integrity to like the rear. We're also going to do the little plates that are going to bolt onto the actual shock towers in the back. I know it's not like a professionally built roll cage, but it was my first time building a roll cage, and it turned out pretty good, and it looks pretty awesome. So that's gonna be a wrap for today's video. We got a lot of work done on this car. The car is pretty much almost ready to go. We were waiting on the engine. We went ahead and undercoated all that under there. So the next step will be to start sanding it and getting it all ready for paint. But if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and also check out Vtuned.com. We got some new merch up there, and we also got some hoodies restocked, so check that out if you want to get you one. And also follow us on Instagram at Vtuned.